This is FME 2013 hitting the road,
Yep.
and this is our Out of This World Tour, and we're hitting the road, and we're starting by talking about the fact that FME 2013 had just a lot of stuff in it.
Too much stuff to talk about everything.
Yeah.
How many things were there that we thought were user significant?
I don't even remember. I guess if I do this,
There you go, 741 things.
So the problem is, at SAFE we have a staff of, I think it's got to be 40-ish developers,
Yep.
and then another 15 or 20 technical staff and pro services and
Yep.
QA and testing and so on. So
Yep.
it's very heavily oriented to the technical side, and so as a result we crank out a lot of stuff, and it's a little bit hard for us to summarize all that. We have, like, what have I got, 71 minutes?
That's
No,
right.
Minus 5.
Minus 5.
So 66 minutes.
Yeah.
So that would be just a few seconds per item if we were actually going to go through all of them.
Or
So
we could go a lot longer.
we could.
Yeah.
We could go into a marathon.
It would sort of be like a cricket match.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be as exciting as well. So anyway, we are not going to go through all of them. We did make a word graph that kind of highlights a lot of things. I know Don is upset about the vote splitting.
I've already lodged a complaint about XML, because XML is getting a bum rap. Although if you look more closely and dig, you'll see that there's a lot of work on XML. You got the XML templater. Well, KML is XML. AIXM5 is XML. And then there's a KML.
GML. How about the GML by the W here?
Yeah, and that's another XML. So there's actually lots of XML.
So it's been fragmented.
It has been.
Yeah, but if you can see, the fragmenting also happened to our CAD friends, because there's Real DWG, ACAD, DGNV8.
Yeah. So CAD to GIS is still a huge, huge area that we continue to work on.
Yeah, and of course the majority of our effort, or at least the check-ins or enhancements, are in Workbench, and the good news there is that affects all of you. Because if I go and make some new fancy 3D inverted cell reader for DGN, there's only a few of you that are into 3D inverted cells.
Yes.
But if I fix something in Workbench, it really should apply to all of you, so we do recognize that as well.
Yeah.
So here's our splash screen. And just out of curiosity, how many in this audience are using FME 2013 already? Oh, there's more than many of the places, but I know many of our users live under a harsh cloud of IT tyranny.
That's
and
right.
Sorry, one of my IT guys is here from SAFE, but we like to make fun of the IT guys on the road. And,
that's right. And everybody likes to make fun of
it's a very popular joke.
So this is our splash screen group, who's a very large group actually at SAFE. We treat it very seriously.
That's right. Yeah. So, but as usual, Don and I can't decide which one we like the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, we do have somebody asked on Twitter if we have a 3D model for download of the zip
We do.
Yes.
That was probably used to make that puppy right there.
Yes, that's right. We just need to use the scaler and hit it all by 0.25.
That's right. Those are all hand-painted, by the way, so each one's different.
Every single one is different.
And you'll notice Dale and I pointed out that for SP2, the splash screen is going to be updated. And you might ask, well, why? Well, look at the rocket guy here. He looks kind of unhappy. And look at the lizard here. He doesn't look like the happy. And you can't have major characters in your splash screen not being happy. So when you get SP2, look at the splash screen.
We're going to turn that FME logo upside down.
Yeah, that's right. Or get rid of the eyes. Or maybe be holding balloons or something. I don't know.
Anyway, so that's one of the screens. But as I say, we couldn't decide. So this is one of the bonus splash screens.
That's right.
Has anybody seen this one yet? Oh, Don has.
I have.
Oh, there's somebody. Hey, we should give him a... Can you just run out there, Don, and give him a spork?
I'll give him a spork.
Give him 2, actually.
I'll give him 2, in case he has 2 kids. Okay.
That's right.
There you go.
So, because almost nobody ever admits to seeing it.
It does make you feel good when you see it. Like I know last night when I was playing around with FME in my hotel room. Yeah. Hey, up came the other splash screen, and I just slept so much better.
Yeah, it's nice. And here's another one. Has anybody seen this one? Oh, you've seen it as well. Well,
we're going to give him the big spork. We'll give him the salad one.
The salad spork.
If you come back next year, you might win the other one. Then you got really good salad sporks. You're welcome.
So it's very rare. You're the first one out of like 900 or almost 1,000 attendees that's seen both of them.
And how many FME logos do we have in our regular splash screen? As I used to say at BCIT, hint, that meant that was going to be on an exam question.
Yes.
There's 4.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, it doesn't matter how many hints you give, there's still the bell curve. It's kind of interesting.
Okay, so anyway, that's that. I'll just take a quick detour for I know some of my friends that are... Roger, is the live stream working or not? It is.
It is.
So that means James Fee, I can say this one's for you.
That's right.
Mark hinted at it.
Yeah, and this explains why all the time we spent on Workbench. A large part of it is a part of this.
Yes. So this is a Macintosh task switcher thing. And so let's go over here. Isn't that logo nice?
That's a beautiful logo.
Nice
is
icon.
That task switcher thing, is that a technical term?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then we can flip, and here is Workbench running on the Mac.
Yeah.
And so I was on the plane and I felt like doing a quick workspace to do some QA actually on FME itself. And so it does its thing, and actually it worked. It all just worked, and we can get the parameters here, and they kind of have a Mac animation thing that goes on, and there's still some tuning needed, but it's starting to work. So that's that one, and we can pop over. The data inspector actually works quite well as well. So we can
and that's why we're rewriting the data inspector. You might wonder, why didn't we just extend the FME viewer? Well, the FME viewer is built from the ground up to use Windows technology, so we're redoing the data inspector.
I would say, Don, it was optimized for Windows technology.
I would say that.
The old one.
We'll say it was optimized.
So anyway, there's the viewer in all of its glory, and it does its thing, and we can see this and whatever. It's good. Okay, so anyway, that's for you, James, and all we got to do is figure out how to make an installer out of that. And whoa! There we go. That's why we haven't given it to anybody yet.
That. Ignore. Just ignore. Or report it. You should have clicked the report button.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, well, James, it's not quite ready for you yet, so you'll have to wait.
Okay.
All right. So that's that.
Faster.
Yeah, we always talk about this.
It's got to be faster or we don't ship. It's considered a bug.
Yep. I always say that.
And if anybody has a workspace, and I always say this too, if anybody has a workspace that runs slower than the previous release, let us know. That's a bug, and we want to fix it. So there you go.
So we did a lot of, we treat this very seriously. We have these fancy graphs that are made, and there's...
Yeah, and you can see wherever we got slower, the next one was immediately...
Right. So we try to go up as good in this graph.
Up is good.
Yeah, up is good in this graph. So we track the performance of our small or our short tests and our long tests, and there's several thousand of these. I never actually know the number. What number do you say?
I say there's 4,500 we run every day, and then there's another 4,500 we run on the weekends. So a total of 9,000.
I think you're safe in saying that, because actually the number is higher, but I don't want to. I think it might be as many as 7,000.
And they keep adding them all the time.
So anyway, we do lots of testing, and among that testing, we test performance. We try extremely hard not to have FME get slower. Of course, when you upgrade your computers, then you just keep getting faster.
That's right.
So that's that. This is the best recorded case of FME.
Of a single test, that's how much faster it was?
That's right.
Yeah. So you shouldn't expect that.
No, that's 642 times faster. What they were doing here was an interesting, kind of an odd case, but they were dumping a database of a bunch of features, writing microstation design files, and they were doing a data set fan-out. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's when you're using an attribute. It's part of the feature to determine the name of the output file. If they were doing a data set fan-out, which was resulting in every single feature being in its own file. I'm not sure why they wanted to do this, but hey, the customer's always right.
That's right.
And so the problem was it was very, very slow to do this, and we tuned it up, and so it took a few seconds. The issue was that we were having a lot of overhead to make all of these design file writers, which was very great compared to the cost of actually writing one feature.
Yes.
So if you're doing large fan-outs, hey, it's a benefit to you. If you're actually writing to a single file, you're still winning, but it's so tiny you won't notice. Something that took like half a second is taking a quarter.
A quarter?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go. That's the best. You should remember that, because this could come up later. Would that be one of your hints, Don?
If it came up later. Does this one come up later?
It does, at least on the West Coast.
Oh, okay. Well, then it did on the East Coast too. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. But really the question we're here to answer today is FME faster than a 2012 performance Tesla Model S?
That's right. And that's one fast puppy. It goes from 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Those of you who came last year might have remembered us comparing the speed of FME to a helicopter in FME 1.
Yes.
So now we're
stepping it up a bit.
That's right.
To a 400 horsepower car.
Yeah.
So this was great because it gave us an excuse to actually buy a Model S.
That's right.
And to do this
it was
testing.
research.
It was research. It's part of our SRED grant, actually.
That's right.
Now,
so how do we tie this back to Mars?
Yeah, we have to tie this into it. The rest of our thing is about a space thing, and we have a little bit of a weak tie-in here because Spacex is a company that is doing private launches to the space station.
Yep.
And so that's the CEO of that is a guy, the PayPal billionaire Elon Musk. If any of you saw the Iron Man movies, particularly Iron Man 2, he was actually in Iron Man 2 briefly.
With Larry Ellison, right?
Yep. He's in there, and I don't think he'll be in Iron Man 3, though.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but Actually, the screenwriter for Iron Man did, to some degree, pattern Tony Stark after Elon Musk. And he's a little bit of an inspirational. So anyway, Elon Musk is the SpaceX CEO. His goal is actually to get to Mars, ultimately, and fund it by doing private things, basically providing contracts to the U.S. government in the meantime. But he's also the CEO of Tesla Motors, which is an electric car company in California. So that's our tie-in. It's weak, I know, but let's go with it.
Yeah, and Elon Musk, does that quote come up?
It doesn't.
Okay, Elon Musk says he wanted to die on Mars, but not on impact.
Yes, just
that was a
preferably
quote
not
from him. Yeah.
Preferably not on impact.
That's right.
So anyway, well, what are we going to do? If you were here last year, even the year before, Don has been talking about this for at least 2 years, maybe more, about the Internet of Things and how all the devices that are out there are starting to become connected. And the number of these is going to explode to, I don't know, some kind of billions, right?
Yep, because I have a plug at home.
Yes.
A Wemo, and you can buy it at Home Depot, costs $20, and you can control your lights in your house now with your iPhone. Okay, so if you can put in all your switches, and then when you're not home, you're going to shut off the whole thing. Makes your wife really happy to be in the dark.
Another good example is the Nest. If you don't know about this, you should. It's just Nest.com, and it's an internet-connected thermostat that is really, really cleverly done. You can control it also. You can turn the heat off on your wife as well.
I can.
So you can do that sort of thing. But seriously, it learns from your behavior. It'll report to you what's going on in your home. It'll sense if you're home today and you weren't yesterday. It'll say, okay, I'll keep the heat on for you. But if you're gone, it will turn it off. So these are the kinds of things, more and more and more, that you saw the CN guys. They said that every single car has sensors on it that are reporting in. And those, the one you did about the boats.
The boats in Germany,
I was commenting that yesterday is the 101st anniversary of the Titanic sinking.
Well, you know what the Titanic and the Leafs have in common?
No.
They're both great until they hit the ice.
Okay, that's a little slam for our Toronto Maple Leafs fans. But, oh, look at that, spontaneous applause here.
That's right.
For that joke.
Yeah.
To say that if the Titanic would have had some internet-connected sensors,
it wouldn't have happened.
It would have been A-OK.
Yeah.
But anyway, the car itself has a REST API, and so that's what makes it interesting. So if we click this, we should come up here, and people have reverse engineered.
I didn't even know I could click there.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
You can look at all the REST calls. So we can do things like down here, flash the lights or honk the horn, or more dangerously unlock the doors. Some of these kinds of things can be done, start up the air conditioning, but you can also ask it what it's up to. You can find out what is its charge state, what's the drive state, and so on. So we can ask the car different things, and it will do that. And as we've been on the road, we found out that it's not just the Tesla that has this.
A Buick has this, apparently, and a Nissan Leaf.
Right.
So more and more. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, we're using the car as our example of something on the Internet of Things, and that's going to let us begin to. Oh, but we're not going to do this Tesla, right, Don?
No.
So this is somebody else's Tesla.
That's an interesting option.
Sergey Brin, who is one of the co-founders of Google, this is his Tesla, and this is sort of what happens when your friends have unlimited funds on April Fools. But what I thought was funny, they have the fuzzy dice in there, the Batmobile sort of wings, and the eyelashes kind of weird me out. But I thought this was really interesting. They also have chrome rims.
Look at that, chrome rims.
So it shows that they spared no
that
expense.
Is an expensive April Fool's joke.
Yes, yes, indeed. So anyway, we're not going to track that one. We're going to track another one.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do over the next 55 minutes is use FME Desktop to author a complete workflow to track and do some value add on the movement of the car. And of course, we know you may not care. In fact, you may even hate electric cars, and that's fine. You can imagine that we'd be tracking something else, let's say like a Hummer.
That's right. If
you want to. So
you can get a lot of sensors on a Hummer.
Right. And in fact, actually, there's a company called Automatic. If you go to automatic.com, they're selling a little device that you can plug into the, what's that thing called?
I think it's like the sensor port or something. Yeah, the diagnostics port.
You can plug this into the diagnostic port of almost any car, and then you have an iPhone app, and it'll report to your phone all kinds of information about what your car is, any of them. So it doesn't even have to be, if that app then has a REST API and is reporting, you could do this on just about any vehicle at all. But the interesting thing is that we're going to be transforming spatial and non-spatial stuff. We're going to be doing this in the cloud. This afternoon, Stuart is going to tell us more about what's going on behind the scenes there. And the other thing is, all the stuff we're showing anybody could do this with enough time and enough code. But I don't know that two sort of aging CEOs that are fragmented in their time.
Are you aging?
Well, one's aging one and one young one.
One's getting more mature as the days go on.
Can put this together, we put this together in about 2 weeks of time. In our spare time between running safe.
That's right.
And with sort of an increasing amount of activity as we got closer to the World Tour.
That's right.
So we did have a little bit.
And we had another constraint. We wanted every workspace to have 10 transformers or less, so that you could believe that you could do it. And we almost did it. And there was a few where we just got crazy because we wanted to make pretty maps. But all the workspaces generally have 10 transformers or less. So
we put together this whole system ourselves kind of in our spare time, which kind of illustrates that it's very easy to make use of these web services and all these other things in FME 2013 and produce something useful. Now, I do have to call out, where's my friend Dimitri?
There he is.
There he is. Dimitri did do the last 2 workspaces we're going to show, or 2 near the end. Don and I didn't do.
That's right. And, and they do amazing things.
Yeah, so we'll save those for the end. So that's what we're going to be doing, is setting this all up. And so just to recap, we're going to just use the web to do this.
And everything's running in the cloud, FME servers in the cloud. Well, Stuart's going to talk more about that this afternoon.
So here we go. So let's just recap. We've got ourselves a Tesla, and we've got an FME server. The server's running
in the cloud on AWS.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We're using PostGIS 2.0. What happened? Oh, this crazy box. Maybe did I bump it again? I tend to swing my arms as I'm talking, and there's this nice switch down there. Sorry about that.
Let me just put a hat in front of there.
Yeah, put a hat to protect it. Okay.
So anyway.
And that's a new format of FME, PostGIS 2.0.
Right. And we could have even used some of the advanced features if we felt like it.
That's
right.
But
I made a little asterisk there because we're using PostGIS only because it was handy. You could use Geodatabase. You could use whatever you wanted. You could use SQL Server on Azure. It would be a handy one to use. We do a good job of that. We could be using Google Fusion Tables. And usually, I would mention at this point, we could even use GME, Google Maps Engine, which is a new thing coming in FME. If you don't know about that, that's a thing coming from Google. It'll be part of FME 2013 SP2.
It'll be SP2?
Yes.
That's exciting.
In fact, it's working in our office right now. We can do everything except create tables. So if you've created it ahead of time, you'd have to. But we could have used GME to do this as well. So anyway, the database, as Don has once said, at least I thought you said this, and I tell everybody you did. That format is irrelevant.
It is irrelevant.
So we don't care. So use whatever you want. All right. Now, Don, you want to talk us through how this works?
Sure. So basically, an FME server, everything is around a topic. You can think of it as an address. So here, we're building a Tesla tracker. So everything we're doing is goes through the name Tesla. That enables servers to do many things. So if you had another workflow that was all about graffiti, you could have a topic called graffiti. The first thing we're going to do, obviously, is we're going to write a workspace that's going to take, as these Tesla feeds come in, we're going to write them to a database.
Right. So basically what goes on is that this topic concept is like a relay. And I found out from Don that that was actually a working name for this.
Early on.
Early on. So we're going to set up something that's going to ask the car, hey, where are you and what are you doing? And we will pull it. Unfortunately, the car doesn't have a push.
It just pushes to Tesla.
Right.
And then we talk to Tesla.
That's right. So we have to ask the car every minute what it's up to. And then when we find out, we're just going to say to the FME server, here on the topic or the relay Tesla is what the car is up to. And then what we'll do is attach a number of things that will happen after that. Now, the obvious one is storing the data.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yes. So just to recap, the car is letting Tesla themselves know what's going on at all times. And incidentally, when you buy a Tesla car, the biggest part of the purchase agreement is about a 3- or 4-page legal agreement allowing them to watch how you're driving and what's going on. So they record incredible amounts of information. This is ultimately to help them service the car and learn and do better.
Right.
And hopefully it'll never be subpoenaed.
That's right, because you're in big trouble.
Yeah, that's right, because there's no hiding. So anyway, what will happen is that FME is going to pull information from Tesla using that REST API from the car every minute to find out its speed, and there's a handful of things.
Heading, whole bunch of things.
Lat long and stuff. And then we're going to spin our PostGIS.
We're going to spin it into the PostGIS database.
That's right.
Like that.
So that's kind of the first part of the workflow. now, Don has, I think, mentioned XML at least 7 or 8 times so far today.
That's right.
But hardly ever we've talked about JSON.
Yeah, even though it's done by the same team, and they do both.
So JSON is the web-friendly brother of XML.
It is.
And for most web services, you end up using JSON. The good news is for SAFE that all the work we did for the last 15 years on XML, all of that comes across and lets us slice and dice JSON very easily. So many of the same techniques and ideas apply. So again, JSON really the language of web services, and FME able to consume them. So let's go and first of all look at how we're going to use that REST API. So come on here. Don't need that. And I've got this is actually the workspace that sort of starts it all, really.
That's right.
And this goes out. And so how are we doing it? The real key thing here
is first we got to log in.
Yes.
So Dale looked on his website there and found out that there was an API call to log in.
Right.
And so you simply copy that URL, and then we're going to do a post, I imagine, because you're going to send a body up there that has a password and user ID, and that's so that's basically it.
So yeah, we found out that, for example, we had to put this is the syntax, and that was the hardest thing, actually. This whole exercise was fiddling around to get logged in. And there's different kinds of authentication that different websites use. As an aside, I really wish Tesla would use OAuth, because that would give us a token which would be easier. But in case you use web services that use OAuth kinds of techniques, which more of them are going to do. That term is good. You're not going to get away without knowing that term over the next few years. That is the future for all these web services. And recently we had to upgrade our Twitter and Google Fusion Tables to do OAuth. But this is an example of a parameter where I'm gluing things together. In the past in FME, I'd have had a separate concatenator, but I can do it right in line. And while we're in here, I'll show that if I wanted to do something fun, I could take and, let's say, make my username always be uppercase. I could drag this in here and then just put the username in there, and now I could do that. So there's a bunch of string functions now part of the standard text editor that lets us do this sort of stuff right in line.
That's right.
So anyway, we log in. And again, this is the REST API call to log in. And then having logged in, we get our list of vehicle IDs in case we have more than one.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. This workflow shows a problem with the Tesla API in that whether you're successful or not, it says you weren't successful.
Yes.
And so, so what you have to do is just on the next call you find out. So we always ask for vehicle ID, and on that fetch we'll really know whether we were successful logging in or not. Now maybe that was a bug, maybe they did that by design, who knows? But
to discourage people,
that probably
it was discouraging, I will admit, when it kept failing over and over and over again. And we thought, well, let's just try it anyway, and it was actually okay. So that's one thing, though, to highlight. We added this concept of a rejected port to many of our transformers, so that again, when we started SAFE, we thought that all data was inherently good. And so if there's anything bad at all, we should just end the translation. With time, we began to be worn down and learn that data is inherently evil. And actually that we should not take it upon ourselves to end when something's bad. Instead, we'll let you know, and you can decide. So if you wanted to, you could, when stuff fails, in this case, we actually are going to just end the translation. But we can do, in this case, and just carry on good, as we used to say. So anyway, we fetch the IDs, and then we fish out our car number. There is one guy that has 100 Teslas.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's the owner of Zappos, which is a shoe company.
Yeah.
He bought 100 of them because it's for some green initiative in Las Vegas, which is an odd place, I think, to start a green initiative.
It is. The whole place is only there because of energy.
Yes. So I guess I got to start somewhere, and Vegas is as good as any. So now we go and we flatten our JSON to get our vehicle number, and then we go into this thing called the location logger, which is a custom transformer that's going to fetch the drive state of the car. So here, again, we're gluing together, if I do this, we're gluing together the REST call, so it needs the vehicle ID and then asks for the drive state. And once we get that back, we have some JSON, and we're going to then also get the battery state.
That's right.
And so this is, again, with the charge state call. So we get these two things, basically glue the JSON all together, and send one copy down after we wait for whatever our amount of delay is. Here we've set it for a minute.
That's right.
And we're going to
basically going to loop.
It's going to keep on looping. So we're using loop, and this is all new icons for the looping. But so we're going to keep looping and asking every minute for what the car is up to. And each minute, we'll also kick one out of here that goes out to the main workspace.
Yep.
So we'll kick out the readings, and then what we're going to do is when we get to here, we'll ask the question, is the car moving? Actually, this is interesting. The Jason Flatner will take that package, the payload we got from the web, and we'll flatten it out into these various attributes. So the state of the car, the speed, the latitude, longitude, heading, and so on. And then we ask the question, is the car moving?
That's
and
right.
Don makes use of a new feature where there can be spaces in ports. Did you know that?
Yep. Yep. No,
and they can be upper lower case as well.
Yeah, greatly improved.
And we have this nice sort of if then else thing. So if the drive state is D, we'll say the car is in drive. Otherwise, it isn't necessarily in park.
No, you could be driving in reverse.
And that's the only way I can drive without Don knowing.
Or it could be being towed.
That's true. I could be being towed.
So if your car's being towed, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't know. There used to be a guy back on the farm where I grew up. I remember one guy who backed his car 23 miles because the drive had broken and he was in a different town. He just backed her all the way home.
Wow.
So if that happened, you wouldn't know that's what I was doing.
Interesting.
So anyway, we'll go ahead and run this thing.
Yep. And the interesting thing here, too, is if you're just consuming web services, you don't need FME server. Like, we're able to consume web services just as easily on the desktop as the server. Certainly, if you're creating web services, you need the server. But if you're consuming web services and there's more and more out there, desktop is all you need. So there's no need to buy a server.
So what happened, Don? It didn't actually work.
Is the car moving?
No, the car isn't moving. I think we were unable to get the vehicle IDs today. So
you changed your password.
Yeah, but I think I had it running earlier. But anyway, we may have to abort this one. There we go. It worked the second time.
Okay.
So it is. So the first time was the case.
The internet in here is a little bit sketchy, as everybody on the live stream. Did we just lose our live stream again? And
Roger, is the live stream okay? Okay, good. Well, that's good. We gave up some of our bandwidth for the live stream. So anyway, it popped up because the vehicle isn't moving. This is showing the table viewer. We can see where the car is parked, and that better be in the basement right here.
It better be, or...
I hope it is. And actually, we can take a peek here and see that I've got 193 miles. Unfortunately, the API is in imperial units.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and we had 77% of charge. So, okay, it's parked here. So that means we can't... Unless we went down there and went for a drive right now.
That's right.
It would kind of end our demo.
Yeah.
We could give the keys to somebody.
To Craig. He would love it.
Is he trustworthy?
I mean, we'll see if it really can do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds.
You know what? I heard a story that one guy opened up one of these things in a parkade and smacked right into the end of it because he didn't realize it would...
He didn't realize it couldn't brake like instantly?
Yeah, it couldn't brake as fast as it accelerated. So you got to be careful, Craig, if you take it for a spin downstairs.
That's right.
But
hopefully he didn't say, watch this, just before he hit the accelerator.
Well... They did test that the airbags came out. This was actually a Toronto guy. Anyway, so what we can do, what I did on company time, I don't think I told you that, I did on company time.
Wow.
I went for a drive with the car downtown.
And you didn't even take me with you.
It was after hours.
Those company hours.
Yes. So, so what I did was attach another workspace onto the topic. Right. That saved a special little file for me of my drive.
Right. Was that SQL Spatial Light or something?
It was Spatial Light, a new format in FME. Spatial Light, a self-contained little database, very handy. So I've got a Spatial Light file here, and what we're going to do is we're going to simulate driving the car. And we use a transformer called the decelerator, which is just, because people said FME is too fast, you've got to slow it down.
They said the Tesla's too fast, too. So you
just got to slow it down.
But you're
actually, you know what else they say is too fast is the log file.
Yeah, that's right. So it's so fast now that in the past you could always watch it go by. Now sometimes for short ones it's just over. And we've actually had somebody ask us to slow down the logger because they thought that
it's just too darn fast.
And we won't do that.
I guess they were speed readers, used to read it as it was going by.
That's right.
But so what we're going to do is prompt and run, and let's see. We're going to play this back as if I'm FME Meister.
That's right.
And how far apart? What do you do? Like, what do you say, 25 seconds?
Yeah, let's go 25, 20 or 25
seconds. So really we're doing this a little more than twice the speed of real time.
So where you were doing 60 miles an hour, now you're doing 120.
Right. Okay, so this should make an interesting report at the end. Yeah. All right, so we're going to start this going, and basically every 25 seconds, with luck, it's going to poke at the FME server and tell us... tell the FME server the car has moved, and here's where it is. And I hope the internet works for this.
That's right. And anybody who's installed this will start to see in a few minutes.
Right.
They'll be getting alerts as this car goes whipping by.
As it comes by within 5 kilometers of your phone, basically.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that's been set up. So yeah, the first one has happened.
Okay.
So
we're moving.
If we're nervous about it, which I usually am, I then go...
I've been so scared I was going to close that puppy.
Yeah, I know. But I'm going to go and look at our database, our Postgres database. Did you ever do this in yours?
No, I never looked at it live.
Okay, so look at it live here. It's kind of scared on. So let's view the feature information. Okay, so with luck, it's hitting that database. Okay, yeah, we got 1 point. Okay. And that should be the safe office. If we had a background map in here, we would know that.
That would be so nice.
Yeah. So yes, we are working on a background map idea for the data inspector. You'll be able to configure that to anything FME can read. We're also going to have an option in there, so if you want to use ArcGIS Online to supply the background maps and you have an account, you could use ArcGIS Online and maybe other things too.
That's right.
So anyway, we got 1 point in there, and that's a nice thing, even though we've reported 3 now. So
that's okay. If you refreshed it, you would have saw them.
Okay. So anyway, we're showing that we did that.
Okay.
And we did this, I think. Yep. So, whoops, no, we didn't do this. Is this the part where we put in the database, Don?
That's right, because right now we just launched the logger.
Yes.
You showed the database, but we haven't actually...
Right, we've got to show you how we actually write the location to the database.
That's right.
So what we do is we have this workspace here, which is a very... Look, how many... It's only 3 transformers?
5.
4,
5? 5 transformers.
So
maybe next year we'll have a 5 transformer limit.
Right. So this workspace gets put up to FME server, and we tell FME server whenever any action happens on that Tesla topic, when you get some information on the Tesla topic, run this thing. And this one flattens that JSON to give us all the goodness that's in there, all these characteristics. And then basically we make sure that it's coming from the car so that nobody's...
Yeah, because a topic, if you could authenticate, you could send...
Nobody's spoofing us.
That's right.
And then we make a Latin long point. And you fix up the date and time.
Just to split into 2 fields. And
then put her in the database. And so this one here is up there running right now. And so if Don will be able to tell me. Actually, I wonder how this works. So here's FME server in its fancy new user interface.
So you click on, once you log in, you click on jobs.
Right. And so there we can see that it's been running and stuff's happening. So that's good. Is it notifications where I show how this thing relates to Tesla?
That's right. So you see the topics there. There's Tesla down there at the bottom. And then if you click on subscriptions, you'll see for the Tesla topic, you'll see Tesla, you can see the...
Oh, all of these, right. So this one here is where it says that we're going to run that right location to DB every time that this is there. And you can see there's other things that are running every time the Tesla gets poked. And we're going to walk through all of these as we carry on here. So there we go. We've written to the database our location. We've looked at it. One thing that Don likes to do is send me an email every night at 2 a.m.
about where Dale drove that, or more correctly, where his car's been.
Yes.
So I also get that email because I wrote the workspace, so I snuck in another address.
And it is kind of funny because while I was on the road last week, I could tell where every morning I knew where my wife was the previous day.
That's right.
So,
and it's also great if you check into a hotel and you give the keys to the valet. I mean, I'm sure no valet has ever taken a nice car for a spin.
Watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, for example.
Exactly. So you get the summary of where your car's been. So.
Yes. I'm sure my wife was really excited about me watching that as well.
That's right.
So anyway, we can send this daily email, and the way that this works is it uses the scheduler in FME server. So if we look at the schedules here, we see FME server has one, and every day at 2 a.m. we're going to generate the hourly map. And we won't run that now, but should we take a peek at it, Don?
Sure. Let's have a look. Again, it's a very simple workspace.
Okay. So let me see. I should get it from here. Generate the 24-hour map. There we go. And so what this does, a couple of things. It's going to read the day's locations. That's right. Don has actually set this up in case there's many people's cars in there.
That's right. So each person's car would get a different email.
Yes. And so the first thing we do is we keep a historical record. I guess if we want to go back and
we've never used it, but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
If you want to go back and audit my timesheet, for example, we could do that. And then the other thing is we wrote a copy down to the bottom, and this is where we use FME's ability to delete things from a database. So we set this up to delete where I'm just going to pop this open here, where the vehicle is the vehicle we've just read, and it's for the day. So bang, we're basically creaming all the data for the day. Right there. And now the middle copy, we actually do something with. You sort it, we connect the
So we make basically a trace of where the person's been. And then the hardest part is basically building the map.
Right. And so here we use this thing called the geometry extractor, which has quite a lot of options in it for basically taking geometry of a feature and giving it to you as text or an attribute. And so there's a whole pile of options. There's these different SMS things from OGC, which actually, when we send SMSs, they'd be handy. So you can get geometry like that. GML, many flavors to choose from, well-known text and binary. But today we're using the Google encoded polyline.
That's right.
We could do Esri JSON as well. If we were using ArcGIS server services, we would use that. But Google encoded polyline basically crams the whole line into a funny long set of A, B, C, whatever.
Yeah, letters.
And then we build a URL. So this is Google's URL for making maps.
So we found that. We just did a search in Google Static Map API, found the line we wanted, pasted it in, and away we go.
And so this inc thing tells us that what follows that is the ABC, whatever that encodes the geometry.
That's right.
And so then we call Google. This is an HTTP call.
Just using the URL that we just finished building.
Right.
And it's going to send us back an image, which we're going to store in an attribute.
Yeah. And I don't know if Don knew this, but I actually made this work on all platforms by I had to use a little TCL here. We should put that in as a transformer to make it.
Does that have a Python option? Oh, you're using the TCL caller.
That's right.
See, this is a great example of where you would use TCL. Well, actually, we should have an FME.
Yeah, but we don't yet.
You know, but sometimes you need it, just like sometimes you need Python. And so if we really hated Python or TCL, we wouldn't have a TCL caller or a Python caller.
Right.
So sometimes you can do little things that are really quickly. And so that's what those are for.
Then we save it to disk.
I would have used Python, by the way, but that's okay.
That's okay. And then in here we actually set up the email message. So here I'm basically sending something to FME server saying, please FME server, send an email that has this subject, Tesla driving record for so-and-so on this day.
And you removed my email address there.
I don't have.
You can have a comma separated.
I decided on, at least for the West Coast ones, I didn't send them to Dawn.
Okay.
So anyway, and then we attached the map. And then the body says, attached is a map showing where your Tesla went on
and
this
those first three are reserved words, email to, and again, it can be a comma-separated list, as many users as you want, subject, and attachment. If you had multiple attachments, it would be twiddly 0, twiddly 1, twiddly 2.
Yep. So then this goes away to FME server and says, please mail me.
That's right, and it uses a different topic there. It uses a topic called Tesla email. And so somebody's got to be listening to that. If nobody's listening to that, nothing happens.
So there we go. So that's going to be at the end of the day, we'd send an email. So, yes, we did all this.
We did.
We looked at this. You saw the interface.
Fantastic. Stuart's going to go over it. This is this one here is an example. I have a Tesla simulator. I don't have a Tesla, but I have an iPhone, so I faked it out by having a Tesla simulator. And this is me driving around. You can see my daughter at the bottom there. We got an hour from home, and then she decided she forgot her homework, so I had to go all the way back. Anyway, that was an interesting discussion. Anyway, I drove there in one day. If you're in the Tesla, you would have, I would look into this. You would have probably, Manning Park, you probably made it around there.
Actually, you can get to Merritt.
You made it to Merritt, okay. But you know what they say about Merritt, it's beyond hope. Okay, so there we go. So, and Craig's always wanted to live in hope. So, okay, enough hope joke.
Yes. So anyway, that's the example of the kind of map. Or more, if we're lucky, this is the kind of map that we'll see get mailed to us. Because this is the route I took that day when I was doing that drive on company time.
Yeah, a good research project.
Yes, that's right. So now we're on to another aspect of this that Don and other Tesla fans want to know when a Tesla is nearby.
Yeah, actually what we really want to know is Dale has a Tesla. We want to know when he's coming near the office. Because at SAFE, nobody actually works, except for Dale. And so we're all in the basement playing pool, ping pong, and all those things. So we're having a great time. It's like party central. We get a 5-kilometer warning. We all race to our desks, and then we work. And when Dale comes by, we're just too busy to even look up.
Yeah, actually, since we've done this, it is true that it seems like SAFE staff are hard at work all the time whenever I show up. So anyway, because what they've done is registered on their phones for these alerts. Have any of them fired through yet, Don? He asked nervously.
1 3 hours ago.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Okay.
So anyway, but
we could look at that other workspace.
We
might not be downtown yet.
Right. So anyway, what happens here is we're using this notification service in FME, which allows applications to sign up and allows us to send things directly to Apple phones or else
or Google phones, or GCM,
or the I guess Android phones. Yes.
That's right. So over time, what's happening on the desktop, we've added all these formats, 300 formats. On the server side, it's about protocol. So we're going to continue to add more and more protocols. So if there's a protocol you need to use, then let us know. We'll add it. Like CN, who Stuart talked about, was big on JMS. Okay, I'm going to look. Oh, it's into my hand. I see. And so they needed JMS, so we added support for that. So over time, more and more of these.
And actually, I'll just mention that some folks may be aware of the GeoEvent server of Esri.
Yeah.
We're looking, that has an API to it. So the GeoEvent server could be another protocol that we poke right here. As, you know, use FME as a gathering point to all the variety of sensors and things we can do, and then send off to GeoEvent server for the last mile.
And you'll see these popping up. Another one is the Amazon Simple Notification Service. So you're going to see more of these.
Yes. Anyway, if you want to know more about these notifications, you can look here at some of these videos and see. But in particular, we're looking at these two apps today and actually the FME Alerts one. And so when you first sign up on FME Alerts or register, it actually tells the server where you are. And you can tell this thing to kind of keep updating the server or not, so that you can register or basically have your workspaces only alert you if you're nearby to something.
That's right. That's
you
right.
Don't have to,
so now the alerts are driving around, the sensors are driving around. You can start to do, you know, interesting interactions between all these things moving around.
So there we go. Look, somebody from the office is phoning me right now. So maybe they just got an alert that I'm nearby.
Maybe.
Yes. Okay. So yes, we are also able to do this on multiple devices. So when we first set this up, we run this workspace. So when somebody initially makes their connection, this workspace here runs. And so let's look at this thing here. So alerts by Tesla proximity.
This one's a little more complicated. At the highest level, it looks like it has one transformer. But if you drill in, you'll see that that is more involved. But this one transformer, it's a custom transformer. You get it, and it manages all aspects of FME alerts, from the subscribing to the updating to the unsubscribing for any topic. So it's not specific to this particular.
So basically, it will also handle the fact that if you're moving, it'll update this table as well.
That's right.
So the main thing is, when we connect with this initially, we end up writing to this table here, which is called the Tesla subscriber. And so I like to always go and take a peek inside of here to see who we have subscribed to us. So Tesla, we'll pull the location data as well as, the Tesla subscriber. There we go. All right.
You got the other one too. Really.
What's that?
You have two tables now.
Do I?
Yeah.
I do want two.
Oh, you want the two? Okay.
Because
so
I can then
see how
tell.
they relate. Okay, gotcha.
All right, so let's go. And now we're going to go out to the cloud. We're going to read down. We'll have the track of where the car is, and then also any phones that are watching us. The thing is, there might be some phones from places like Austin, Texas, down here that are never going to get an alert because they are. But here we go.
Oh.
Right. So we haven't quite got into our zone yet. Is what I would
good.
Take
That's
from
a
this.
good thing.
Yes.
And you can see some people are still at the safe office there. That was that other one.
Right. So some people got alerts. Like this is at the beginning. So if I select this feature here, I can see some things about it, but I can know it's an iPhone and this is its fancy long ID. And if I go over to where we are now, and there, in a minute or two when we hit this, we should start seeing people get alerts. And I could
probably a bunch of people, I would guess.
Right. It'd be all of us that are here, really. Whoops. If I get the info on this. Well, there's only one. Only one person is signed up, Don. Disappointing. But anyway, we should start to see things happening.
Oh, I just got one.
Yeah.
From FME Meister.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one who signed up.
Yep.
Well.
Is that right?
Oh, he got one too.
Okay, well then it's, I'm not sure, I must be selecting things wrong, but I know what we could do. We could hit the table view.
Ah, the good old table view.
Yeah,
okay, there we go.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Some people are running update mode. You can see that they're actually running in update mode. So that means they're.
So that's why the table view is handy.
The table view is handy.
Yes. So
there's no Google phones though. We can tell you that.
Yeah, no Androids in here. Yeah. So anyway, that's good. So some people are getting alerts. So the fake car, the phantom car, is driving by.
That's right.
And so that's the registration. Oh yeah, we should show how the alerts are actually triggered.
Right.
So to do that, I'm going to go and kill this one. Got to be careful here.
Don't kill the wrong one.
Now, this one here is a workspace that is set up to be run every time there's action on the Tesla topic.
Right, so now we have two workspaces, and that's another nice thing about this whole message-based approach, is we have one workspace going to the database, and now we add another workspace that's going to do something different. So we don't have to just build one massive database, one massive workspace that does it all, because there's always a chance we're going to break the existing one, or when we're writing this new one, we would have to shut down the one going to the database. So now we're going to add a second workflow to the Tesla
So
topic.
again, we do the same thing. We flatten the payload that we are given. We get the X and Y. Now, where it gets interesting is this one here, the little-known transformer called the feature reader. Fascinating transformer. Something comes into it. In this case, it's the location of the car. And we can go out to the database and say, are there any subscribers that intersect? Remember, the subscribers are puffed out. And so what comes out of here will be, out of this thing here, all the subscribers which were that intersected our point. And so when we have that, then we go ahead and do some work on that to basically ultimately send them. We send them a message right here.
That's right. That's right. It's a little tricky there, in the sense that we're building the topic based on, if it's an Android device, it's going to be Tesla-Android. If it's an iOS device, we're going to publish the Tesla.
So actually, I just saw mine just said right now, Tesla owned by FME Meister is nearby. So that was put together in here and then sent to the phones. And some of you are seeing that happen live. So anyway, this thing is sitting there running. And every time an update happens where the car is, we do this query. And if we get nothing out, well, then nothing happens. If we get 50 out, we do 50. So that's
I
the
just
thing.
got another one.
The car is really moving through downtown right now.
I tell you, going high speed.
Okay, so that's the alerts, and we did that. So let's just review what's going on. Recap. So the car is being pulled and posting its information to Tesla. One thing runs and stores in the database. Another thing runs every time, and then figures out if we're nearby to a device.
One of our fans.
That's
and if
right.
they are, then they get a message.
That's right. So that's all working. And again, just to highlight, these event-driven workflows work like this. Something pokes the Tesla topic, and then we can keep attaching more and more workspaces that are all small and independent. So, if we want to change what database we're using, it doesn't affect how we're going to send notifications. That sort of thing. All right. All right, now we get into the fun part.
Dale got hungry, and so first of all, he's driving this thing around, so he thought, hey, I wonder if there's any customers nearby. And you might want to take a customer out to a restaurant, or maybe a customer wants to take you to a restaurant, or maybe you want to eat and then go see a customer.
Whatever it is. While we're driving, we can start to integrate points of interest into here. Now, a more practical thing would be, where can I recharge the car?
That's right.
We could do things like, say, if the battery is getting less than 40%, then let's take a look and start telling you, we could do, that would be more practical, but this is more fun.
In the hotel in Toronto, they had a charging station. But it took a Visa.
Oh, really? Wow.
So,
Okay. So anyway, we're going to try to set this up so that we're going to add the concept of points of interest into here. And then when we're near points of interest, we're going to do things. So first, we've got to load those points of interest.
That's right. That's right. And now, I want you to, oh, wow, but our customers are in the Salesforce database.
Which is Salesforce, if you don't know, is a CRM, a customer relationship management system that's in the cloud. Very popular, widely used. We do use it in FME, and it's in the cloud. But the problem is, Don, how are we going to read that thing?
That's right. And before 2013, you couldn't.
Right. So we added in 2013 the concept of cloud as a new kind of format. So Google Maps Engine is one, Salesforce is one.
That's right.
Actually, the Fusion Tables
Socrata.
is one. Socrata. Some people use that. So a lot of these different things that are out there that aren't really on people's desktops.
So that's the second type of cloud we read.
As opposed to point cloud, which is a LiDAR thing. We'll get to that too. Here's our graph of formats. Mark mentioned that we hit 303. I do tell a little side story here.
How many did we add in SP1?
Right. In SP1, we added, I think, 5 or 6 more GPS formats.
And how many of those were XML based?
I don't know.
I think 2.
Okay.
Okay.
But never gave that any thought. But I wanted to just tell a brief story about inventory. If Don and I were running a tire shop, it would be very clear in the fall when we got our inventory. It would be piled up, all these tires back there, and that would be a bad thing. Now, we got all our money tied up. We have to pay interest on that, and we don't like that. We want to sell these things. Well, when we're writing software, it's a little bit harder to see the inventory, but the argument goes that the inventory is all the good things the developers have done that you aren't able to use. Now, in the old days, customers used to just download our daily beta builds and have fun. But in the dark days of IT tyranny that people live under today, that is not very common. In fact, very few of you are even using FME 2013. So we can't just rely on the betas as the vehicle for getting the inventory out to you. So we've begun, as of FME 2013, to start to put some of our inventory into our service packs. When we deem that there's no risk and that it's a very safe thing. We can, particularly adding formats is a very safe thing. So we put more stuff into SP1 than we ever have before. So there was a lot of changes, a lot of good things, and actually SP2 will similarly have a bunch of things in it. But by the time we get, SP2 is like June-ish. By the time we get to SP3 would be the fall, then I'm going to say, you know what, the inventory, I don't mind.
No, that's right. It only has 3 months to go.
It's expensive for us to be putting stuff into SP2 and FME 2014. So we have to weigh these things. So by the time the fall comes around, we'll just say, too bad, you're going to have to wait till January if you can't take a beta. So that's a bit of a change in how we work. So anyway, that's our graph. Don, what's your favorite?
Kunta GML.
And because it's named after Kunta Kinte, who was played by Geordie LaForge?
On Roots, Whenever I read that format, I think about Roots. It's also a funny story there. They sent us this file and said it was GML, but when you look closely, the tags had been renamed to Finish. And so then by...
So you were finished?
Yeah, so that's right. So that meant they were finished. And so then, but it was no problem. We have a very flexible thing, so we added support for that. How about you? What's your favorite?
You know, I would go with Spatial Light. Because I've kind of wanted Spatial Light in FME forever, and it's a handy little lightweight thing. It's got a lot of nice characteristics. That'd be my favorite. My sort of nostalgic favorite is Ingress, because I do believe that as a young lad on VMS, on a VT220, I think I used Ingress briefly. So it's back, and it's spatial. And so anyway, nice to see that
And it's open source now, isn't it?
Yep, that's right. So anybody can use it. So Sun Raster is also a nostalgic thing.
And OData is kind of handy for that's another non-spatial format.
My favorite.
You can read Netflix on there.
That's right. All the Netflix title is available by. So you could actually. We could work that into our workflow depending on where you're driving.
We could have picked all movies that had the word Tesla in the title or something.
That's right. That's right. Also, actually, there's on OData, appropriately enough, there's a Nerd Lunches feed.
Exactly.
So you can find out where nerds are having lunch as you're driving, and then maybe stop off or else avoid the area.
I did.
So anyway, either one.
I also like the name OData.
Yeah, that's right. So that's our new formats. But what we wanted to do was say, well, let's add our customers into the loop. And so we're going to read Salesforce. We know we can do that. But here we got a problem.
We need to, they kind of have location, but it has an address, so we need to somehow...
Because Salesforce isn't spatial. Salesforce doesn't actually have a map inside that knows where people are.
That's right.
It knows the address. So we got to convert an address to locations.
We're also going to use my favorite transformer.
We are?
When we load it in.
Okay.
I'll point that out,
So we realized we can just use a web service to do this. And so we've been working with a few different vendors to integrate web services.
Why is that one flashing?
Because that's one we actually use.
Okay.
Is that what did you say usually?
It's by the company who they actually wrote Transformer their own.
Yes, that's true. They wrote their own plug-in to FME. But they also gave us a nice license, so thank you, DMTI, for letting us show this on the road everywhere. We are working actively right now on integrating ArcGIS servers, Geocoder, which will also work with ArcGIS Online if you have an account. They have a great Geocoder. And same with our friends at Pitney Bowes. Have this thing called the Spectrum Geocoder, and we can work with that too. So those two things are being worked on right now.
So really we're continuing what we've done with FME. We've supported all types of data. Use whatever data you want, use whatever tools you want. Same thing with web services. Use whatever web services you want, and we're just going to work to provide a way to get access to them.
So here we are. This is a workspace. It's going to read Salesforce. We're using our test Salesforce accounts, so not all accounts are in here. Just so that you don't think that SAFE is about to go broke based on the small number of returns we get. No, we have more customers than this is going to show. But we're going to fish out only the ones that are in BC.
That's right.
That are in our sort of sandbox. And here we're routing to a number of different transformers, but only one of them is going to be active at a time. So normally it'd be the DMTI one when we actually do this. And this is where I show a new shortcut. On the right click here, we reorganize this menu, and we also try to put shortcuts to things that we thought people might often use. So one of my faves is the Control E.
To enable,
or disable. So E will toggle things. That's one of my faves. My other one is that we want to encourage you to write documentation like why, the why of the transformer. People can figure out the what it is, but leave behind the why for the poor sucker that comes behind. And so to do that, you can do K. Control K lets you write why. You too can answer the question why. So
there we go. And my favorite transformer is on this one.
The Geographic Buffer?
Yeah, I like that way better than the buffer that ships with FME. Open that puppy.
Yes.
And this is a free one on the store, but it allows you to specify the units. So if you're in lat long, try buffering lat long. It's kind of tough because at the equator it's different than near the pole.
Yeah.
And this one you specify the units, and away you go.
Now this is also showing off a new thing in FME 2013 SP1,
Yeah.
and that is this ability to do to basically compute a value on the fly based on an if-then-else test. And so now here's the story. My good friend, some of you in this audience will know the famous David Van Blankenstein, DVB, as his friends call him.
Yeah.
And David used to live in Vancouver, and in our test database, he's still there. He's in Victoria now.
Yeah.
But David always takes me out for a milkshake. At least when I was younger, I used to partake of milkshakes more often than I do now. But anyway, so what I'd like to say is that, you know, if I'm even remotely close to David, I would probably stop by. But for all the rest of you, I'm sorry.
Well, he's going to buy you a milkshake.
Yeah, exactly.
No wonder. Yeah.
Now, if any of you wanted to buy me a milkshake, I could alter this as well. But what we do here is use this new thing called set to conditional value. Listen carefully, because that could come up again.
That's right. Hint.
So set to conditional value. So instead of typing in 250 for everybody, I can pop this up, and then I can write a test that says if the name, and then I can use any of these things, if the name contains EMF.
Which is FME spelled backwards. So that's probably what he did. He changed names.
Yes.
Because it was, people would say, what does EMF stand for? And he'd say it was FME spelled backwards. So the next question is, what does FME stand for? And then by the time we answer that question, they're completely lost.
That's right. So anyway, that's what DVB's company is.
Yeah.
So if the name contains EMF, then I will go 800 meters out of my way.
Yeah.
I'm going to really...
You're going to go far. You're almost going to go a kilometer.
It's a long ways.
Yeah.
For the rest
Otherwise,
of you...
it's just 250
yeah,
meters.
I'm sorry. That's all I'm doing. So anyway, but that is a very powerful new thing that lets you often remove some transformers in workspaces and collapse your workflows. So we're going to go a little further for DVB.
And it's not going to, in this case, it's not going to decrease the readability either.
No.
You know, like if you have tester, 4 testers in a row, that's not too readable.
Yeah. So, and then in the end, we just write this into our points of interest table and say that it's a customer, and we put a bunch of other stuff there.
That's right.
So that's that one. It's going to be buffered out.
Yeah.
And
so if somebody wanted to get the geographic buffer, how would they do that?
They would just type it.
Buffer.
You just type geographic buffer
and then they would
enter.
and then they would hit an arrow, and you hit enter, and it just downloads, and now you too have the geographic buffer.
Yes, that's right. So. I won't run this right now because we'll do the next one and then we'll show the
this
answers.
is already preloaded, right?
It's already. Oh, what I would say is that what we would do if this was operational is I would put this up on our server and have it run every night.
Yes.
Let's say at midnight to refresh the location of the customers.
Yeah.
And that way it would be just scheduled to run and refresh.
Yeah.
Actually, I can run this. What I'll do is I'll redirect this to the inspection application.
Ah, there you go.
And then run this. It'll hit Salesforce first.
Yep.
There it goes. It's reading stuff from Salesforce. Stuff's happening. And now we're going to do the geocode. For the demo, we're using Yahoo's geocoder because it's very fast. But the terms of use say we can't store the answers in a database.
Yes.
We're not going to. We're going to just display them.
That's right.
So we're okay. So we can use it.
So you got to read all the fine print very, very carefully.
Google has the same thing.
Yep.
And here we are. Now the problem is it's all of BC, so the stuff that we want is down here. And we can take a look, and sure enough...
EMF is bigger.
Here's DVB. We puffed them out. If we look at the name, which is down here somewhere, yep. EMF is the big one, and everybody else has nice small little ones. So that's that one. So now we've loaded that in the point of interest table.
Yep.
All right. That's good. Okay, now I'm getting hungry, Don. It is getting close to lunch.
That's right, it is. And so now you want to find a place to eat.
Yes.
And so the City of Vancouver, as we know, they have an open data initiative. They publish a lot of data to an FTP site. So with FME, we all know how to read an FTP file. You just simply download it. If it's zipped, you got to unzip it, and then you can run the workspace.
You know, notice, Don, they have a lot of different formats available. I wonder what tool they're using.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but anyway, if we right-click here, here's an Excel spreadsheet of where the food vendors are, as my son calls them, roachmobiles.
Roachmobiles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we can go in here, and let's just add a data set. I'm going to read Excel. There we go. I'm going to paste this in.
And go to the beginning of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an FTP site.
That's
so that's
right.
new in FME.
So
now
I
you
just
can
hit
read
OK.
directly from an FTP site.
Bang. And here we go. This is all the sort of roachmobiles that are out there.
Yeah.
And I can then get this. So let's go and make a workspace that would read these things.
I like the Fresh Bakery one.
Yeah, that would be good. Although I'm off bread right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'd have to pass that one over. But anyway.
We were big into wheat and barley on the East Coast.
Is that right? Yeah. In different forms, I'm told. Okay, so anyway, here's where we read the spreadsheet. And again, this workspace pulls from the FTP site.
Yep.
So I would post this to be run every night. We'll get the locations and then refresh this. And really, it's the same thing. The only other tricky thing I'm doing is filtering out. I don't want the one that say info coming.
Right.
Because if we don't, I want to know what kind of food I'm headed towards.
That's right.
And so that's that. So we would do that. And then here's the workspace that would run every time the Tesla moves. We'll do the same sort of thing and go into our points of interest table and intersect with that.
And you'll notice that this table is almost, this workspace is almost identical to the previous one. The only difference really is the table that's being hit.
And this time, instead of sending a message to the phone, we're going to send an email.
That's right.
We could in the future do an SMS or something else.
That's right.
So this is up there. This one is actually running live. And so with any luck at all, if I look here at our friend the FME Meister, he received emails while we were running that I went by Gnosis,
EMF, imagine that.
In our can, and that I also was near some Asian cuisine, which really would go down well right now.
It would go down really well.
So, it tells me some things here about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. And I think we're good. Oh, okay.
This is writing to zips.
No, it isn't. This is reading.
Okay,
I know, that's what I thought too.
Okay, we did,
We loaded the food data.
Yeah.
We did all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're pretty much done. Don, I should just check to see if our simulator has finished its run. So that's this one? No.
No, it's still going. It's probably on the way back to the safe office now.
Right. So what we're going to do then is ask the question, what happens if Vancouver floods?
Well, you're in an electric car.
Yep.
You got to be. Floods are now even a bigger concern. In a internal combustion engine, you drive into a big puddle of water. It stalls. You get out. An electric car, it could be.
It might not be so good.
It might be electrifying.
So anyway, let's look at this, and here we're going to simulate.
Okay.
A drive.
Right.
Through, and I'm just going to go ahead and run this.
And you're going to flood Vancouver,
I'm going to flood Vancouver.
Okay.
We're reading from a faked point cloud because YVR doesn't have a point cloud yet on their public site, but we use contour lines to make a fake point cloud.
Yeah.
We're colorizing it with ECW, and then we're laying the Tesla track into that. The key interesting part is over here, where we use this thing here that goes almost like raster math. It does point cloud math. Pixel or point by point.
Point by point. So is that new in 2013?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And we're using the ability here to do a little test and say if our Z value is less than some threshold, then we're going to tint, basically we're going to knock the red and the green down and make the blue a bit bluer.
There's something else about this one that excites me.
What is that?
See, Dimitri, we were looking at a map, and I said, hey, it looks great to me, and Dimitri told me I wasn't a cartographer, which is great. So Dimitri was really upset by the maps that I produced. Because if you noticed, I didn't worry about if I stuck to the roads or not. And in that workspace, Dimitri uses a new feature of FME, the shortest path finder, to make sure, because remember, we're only sampling here, here, here. So, and I was making straight lines. Now Dimitri actually follows the roads of the network, because one of the input data sets there was the roads of Vancouver. So if it's right there. So what he does now in the shortest path finder is you can give it a whole path of points, and each one of those is treated as a from to, and then it snaps to the underlying network. So that's so now with this I could produce really pretty maps.
So you can see there's no cutting the corners here.
No, he's following the road network, so there's no.
So this incidentally would be what Vancouver would look like if the ocean raises by 15 meters. So a lot of valuable property would be flooded.
That's right, and Teslas would be
probably most of the playing field in BC Place as well.
That's right, and the Canucks.
Yes. Okay.
So a riot would be more like water polo then.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, that's a quick point cloud demo. And now we use this point cloud expression value. This is actually a list of all the new transformers.
My favorites are the JSON ones, and the JSON updater's coming.
In SP2. So anyway, that's the one we used there, and we did that. But now we get to the end. This where my son is 15, and soon maybe.
I changed this one. Report to Dawn, by the way.
Okay.
Because we need to sit down and have a chat, and you'll see why in a minute.
Okay, I'm a little worried about that.
I'm worried about you. You're gonna, anyway.
Report to Dawn.
You got to be safer.
So anyway, the idea of this is to produce a plot at the end of each day that shows the speed and location and things, and really to highlight some areas of concern that might be worthy of some discussion afterwards.
Yeah, and we will have a discussion
That's right.
here in a minute.
That's right. But the problem is how to get the great labels. Well, it turns out we integrated this thing in FME called MapText Labeler. It is an extra cost thing, but it's technology from these guys called MapText, and it really allows some stunning things to be done.
Yeah, so you'll see in a minute here what Dimitri
So
did.
we won't get into this afternoon. We're going to talk more, but suffice to say you configure this thing, and we produce a map like this. So I'm going to go ahead and thank you, Dimitri, for setting this up.
Dimitri really did some great work here. And you can see again that he got uptight, and the road, the trail, really, the track really does follow the road network. And
so I'm going to run this thing. It's again reading all the public data of Vancouver, the streets, the parks, the shoreline,
the transit lines,
and the Tesla track.
Yeah.
One of the things he did here was use the new string functions to glue together a multi-line label that's nicely formatted, padded nicely.
Yeah.
So he's padding it together. It's a multi-line label.
Yeah. He also colored certain text based on attribute values, which we're going to see in a minute.
So we get down into the labeler, which is here, where all these things are coming in, so that it makes sure it doesn't put labels on top of each other. I will show that for the
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. For the Tesla one, if we configure...
Don't leave that. Don't leave that one when you're finished talking.
You want to talk some more?
Yeah.
Okay. For the Tesla one, what he did was here, if we go into the style, he said put it into a box. They call these shields.
Yep.
So all the Tesla reports are going to be in this nice white box that won't hit any other labels. So what did you want to say about this page, Don?
I want to say, next one. Sorry, close that one, but the main one. And the nice thing, too, about the MapText labeler is you can specify your target system. So in this case, we're using FME generic, but if you know you're going to ArcGIS, you can pick ArcGIS, AutoCAD, MicroStation, and so on, and then it knows all the font metrics and how they work, and so it can do an even better job. But we're using FME generic because we're just going to look at it in the data inspector.
In our own viewer.
So this is amazing, amazingly powerful.
Yeah. So the other thing Dimitri does after we've done the label is he picks it apart. The multi-liner comes out and he says, was it the street name or the battery? And if that's the case, we're going to make it bold. But here's where the part is interesting.
Here's where Dale gets into trouble.
If the speed...
I'm sure glad your dad's not here.
Yeah, it's just, whoops. Sorry, Dad. Anyway, if the speed is more... Now, Dimitri cranked it down to 40.
Remember, these are in miles per hour.
Yeah. No.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. I don't know. They might be in miles per hour.
They are in miles an hour.
Okay, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So actually... Yikes!
I might have to take the car keys.
Actually, I think there's some.
I'm going to have to
take
the car keys.
So please, Vancouver City Police or RCMP.
Who needs radar? You just talk to Tesla.
I'll just ask the RCMP guys to not listen. So anyway, wherever it's greater than 40, we're going to make that red.
Yeah, 40 miles an hour.
He also does something here on the battery level to color that based on the situation as well. So, so basically, we can do this kind of post-processing of the label, and it turns out that that is very hard to do, and there aren't very many other systems that can do this.
No.
So you can talk to Dimitri afterwards, but this is actually...
This is just a data inspector, so this is amazing what's going on here.
So here we go, and we can see down here that I did open her up a bit on the Granville Street Bridge.
60 miles an hour on the Granville Street Bridge? That's...
I think Dimitri... Where's Dimitri? He had some... Did you change my speeds?
No, he did not.
A little bit, yeah. To make an artistic thing. I've been framed.
That's right. You've been framed. Your own product used against you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can see the labels downtown and how we're not bumping into ourselves.
Yeah. And how they follow the route. I mean, it's this thing of beauty.
Yeah. And we can follow how we went. And here we are going down Knight Street. And eventually on Knight Street, I think our battery goes, here we go. See, it changed from green to brown here. But all of this nicely labeled. Now, this actually, we had a customer from NASA that gave us a spreadsheet of soil chemical concentrations that they wanted labeled in this kind of a way. And it turned out no other tool could do this.
That's right.
So they wanted a multi-line label in a box, and then when the potassium was over some threshold, then make it whatever color
was
potassium
this of soil samples on Mars?
I don't know.
Okay.
It could have been. Do you know, Dimitri, where was the soil samples? Unknown.
Let's
go with Mars.
Let's go with Mars.
Yes.
Fits back into the theme.
That's right. So anyway, a fun little thing we did there, but very serious implications. We'll talk more about labeling later. So there we go.
That's a report to Don done.
Yeah. And lastly, this is something that Don hasn't seen.
Nope.
We can also write directly to a zip file. So let's take a look at that. Okay. And number 10, at the end of each day, this would be something we would schedule to run at the end of each day. We might want to produce a statistical summary. So this, we're going to read the tracks of the day. And we're going to go into the stats calculator here, which has had a revamp. You can do many things at once. We're going to analyze the speed. And we're going to take the summary, the one record that is all of the stats, and I'll put them to a tab called Speed Summary in our Excel spreadsheet, because we love Excel. Then we're going to go, and the guys that are complete, what happens here is that the features pile up, and when the stats are calculated, all of them go out with the stats added to them. So every feature knows the average. So that lets us do something like, say, if my speed was greater than the average, we'll go to the faster tab. Otherwise, we go to the slower sheet. So we got those. And then
you seem preoccupied with speed here.
It is something I think of lots. And then the cumulative, if you wanted the running average thus far, is what that's about. We don't care about that here. And then lastly, we're going to output, because we haven't done enough ArcGIS, let's output a file geodatabase.
Perfect.
Okay.
And file geodatabase, as everybody knows, is a directory full of files, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not really a file. So anyway.
Right. It's a directory writer.
So what we're going to do is show here that I'm going to use, this is outputting to two things at once. If I put the same zip file in both, I will get one zip file with all these things in them.
So if you have .zips anywhere in the path, it's going to be, everything's going to be zipped up into one zip file.
But wait, there's more. I can actually put a subdirectory in here. So I'm going to say we have a subdirectory called Excel where the speeds will go. And then over here for the file geodatabase, I will add this into, let's say, FGDB. Okay, so I have two subdirectories in my zip. And I will go, oops, I should always make sure that I don't have the things sitting there from before, because otherwise you won't believe me. I may regret deleting that. So
I don't think so.
Let's run this.
Okay.
And it does its thing. And okay, we've done. And so now with luck, if I refresh this, it's back. And if I double click, it's a zip file, and look at that. It has those two subdirectories in there. If I grab the Excel one.
And if your log file was being put in there, you'd also get the log file.
Yes. So some people I know like to put an index.html at the top, make a nice package. Very, very simple to assemble a beautiful zip file with FME now, because we can write directly to zip.
That's right. And FME would be able to read this too.
Yes. So I'm just going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to take a look at the speed thing, just so you don't doubt that we've actually done something. Drag this in, and again, here it comes. I get my 3 tabs across the bottom. These are the faster ones. We can sort them by speed, and the slower ones are here. And then here's the summary of the whole thing. So that's that.
That's awesome.
Don, do we need to send our email?
Let's send our email.
So we'll go out to the server.
And we'll just wait. It's going to run at 2 a.m.
So we got a little bit of time to wait. So let's go here to, oops, I don't want the jobs, I want this. And I'm going to go here, and number 2, we'll manually trigger this. I'll just say run it right now.
And so this is going to read, whoa.
I was afraid something like that might happen, Don. What do you think that means? What Don and I did, well, Don didn't have anything to do with this. It was me. I've only done this, I guess, this will be my 7th time in 10 days, and I neglected to run the right workspace. So what I was running, futilely, was trying to write the Tesla location to the database. Well, that isn't what I wanted to do. That happens automatically when the Tesla moves. What I wanted to do was generate the 24-hour map. So that was the button I need to push. I need to push this one to run that. And I nervously look at it now. Okay, there it is. It did its 324 things. And now for our final thing, we go over here. And we really hope that the email does come. And there it is. And so, yes, we can see that it worked. Okay. But just in conclusion, I hope you'll agree that you've seen that FME provides a powerful platform for quickly manipulating and transforming data.
And for 2013, a big message is obviously web services and cloud. In addition to all the other things we do, this is a whole new world of data sources, but not just data sources, new web services that you can start to leverage with FME. So we picked on Tesla. Of course, we never wrote a single line of code in FME specific to Tesla.
No.
So pick your sensor and have fun.
Yes. And so whether your data is old or new, static or live, CAD or cloud, I hope you'll agree that FME 2013 makes it easy for you to maximize its value. And lastly, thank you so much. Because of this presentation, we're able to write off the entire cost of the Tesla Model S as a business expense. So thank you very much. And with that, enjoy lunch.